Hello, this is the CCA Centennial Community Association General Meeting taking place on Tuesday, September 21st, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. First of all, we want to start out with a few guidelines for our virtual meetings. Upon entering the meeting, all participants will be muted. If you have a question, please use the chat box, or you can also raise your hand using the button on your command menu. Video, feel free to use if you're comfortable with it, but if not, that's fine too. This meeting is being recorded and we will post it after it finishes tonight, and we will post it to our YouTube account. And meeting minutes will be posted to the CCA website, www.eastportland.org/centennial. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first CCA General Meeting of the fall of the new school year. I think we're coming back with a little bit of renewed energy. And so we have some fun things to talk about tonight. And we're looking forward to kind of the restarting things as the summer has been kind of quiet. First of all, I want to introduce a few new board members, and we'll see who's actually in attendance tonight. So let me see. So Sherry's here. Sherry, do you mind if would you be able to kind of chime in just to introduce who you are, your experience in the neighborhood, and then also what led you to get involved with the CCA?
Yeah, I'm Sherry Wilchin. I lived in this East Portland for 44 years and raised my family here. And apparently I'm raising another family here, my grandchildren as well. I have worked for the county for 30-some years and also for the American Cancer Society. So I'm active in advocating for a number of things, including myself in the last little bit that Dan knows about. So I just wanted to join and give some more vitalization to Centennial Community Association and move forward so that we can have an impact on what's happening in the city of Portland.
And if I can add, Sherry, I really like when there's an issue or a concern or something, especially on your block, you have no problem with going out, talking to neighbors, talking to people and figuring out who we can reach out to solve a problem. And I know that I always know that at least in Sherry's little neck of the neighborhood, I know if there's an issue that comes up, I know that Sherry's going to bring it up and do her best to connect with people.
Right,
so I appreciate that.
Yeah, we've got each other's phone numbers, those that want to share. And
exactly. And I think that's the strength of our neighborhood, is we begin to create those little pockets of communities that talk to each other, and then hopefully we branch out from there.
Right.
We also have two other new board members. I don't think either of them are here. One is Teresa Connors. She's lived in the neighborhood for a couple of years now, and she is a nurse, and she's excited to get started with expanding kind of our digital outreach as an organization, and also adding updates and more information to our website. The third new member is David Lynn. He is new to the neighborhood, I think within the last couple of years, but he has a past in community involvement. I think he was previously on the Montevilla Neighborhood Association. He is also on the Centennial School Board, and if he is able to join us later tonight, he's going to give us a little bit of an update about Centennial School District and what the news is there with this year. So going back to our agenda, it looks like next on the docket is Karen Wolfgang with CNET. And I thought I saw Karen earlier on here. But if she's not on, why don't we move forward with, let's move to the next item. Gail, do you want to tell us about the CCA community survey?
Yeah. So the Centennial Community Association and the Centennial Neighborhood Emergency Team have joined together, and we are currently running a community survey of 10 questions, mostly asking for people's stories and reflections from their COVID year, pandemic year background, what went well, what didn't go well, what sorts of neighbor to neighbor or family to family and community uh, opportunities and enhancements would have been nice to have during COVID years. So we have a chance to perhaps put new things in place. So that survey is being distributed right now at the Rosewood Saturday celebration. So if any of you are going there this coming Saturday, the Saturday celebration will be happening from 11 until 6 p.m., 7. And we will have a table there. We will be distributing the surveys. And I also want to announce that we have an online version of the surveys, both in Spanish and in English. And that should be going live by the end of the week. I was hoping we would have it live today, but I didn't hear back from Karen. So should be any day now, and then we will send out another announcement certainly to CCA members, inviting you to participate in the survey and provide us with your feedback and background and thoughts about how neighbor to neighbor and family to family we can improve community resilience for disruptions that are going forward. Seems like never ending. We expect both climate, environmental disruptions, but also public health disruptions like the pandemic, which the ripple out effect, certainly hasn't dissipated yet by any means. So this is a follow-on to a community survey CCA did in late 2018, 2019. So we will have a couple opportunities to compare pre-COVID, post-COVID kind of community responses. And so look for that. I hope we can send links out, like I say, in an announcement going forward for when that's available for the online version. And we invite anyone who has community groups that you would like to also help us advertise the survey availability. Let us know. We will make sure you have the links for the online form. And the last thing I want to say is that as part of this effort, both the Centennial Neighborhood Emergency Team and our CCA is hosting Portland State University student for 3 terms starting in October, fall, winter, and spring term, who will be able to help us compile results and do a follow-on and community efforts that come from that survey. So we will have that extra support and help, and the person who will be our intern is, I'm happy to say, is fully bilingual Spanish, fluent in Spanish as well as English. So that's a real boon to this effort and to what we will be able to do following survey results for the community, taking that input into account. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer about this process. Fairly straightforward survey questions, but we're just really happy to distribute it, and let us know if you would like some more information about it to help us distribute the link out to the community more broadly.
Yeah,
go
ahead. I have a comment. I was at the Rosewood for 2 weeks ago, and Teresa the week before that. And Dan knows this too. We need to, and I'm going to put some on the forms we have for next Saturday. We need to put an address that they can mail back to, because they walk away with the survey and they, don't know where to send it because they don't want to do it right then. So that's, that's kind of a comment that I have. And also making a tablecloth, a few other things. Anyway, it was nice to be there, but it was a very hot day when I was there.
And
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think we're the current copies I think have an address to send results back.
All right, good.
and I'll bring candy on Saturday.
Yeah, good.
That'll make us at least a little bit more popular.
Yeah, candy and other giveaways. If we share, I don't know whether the emergency team will have a chance to have anybody there, but they also had a few giveaways before too.
And I have those here, so whoever starts, we need to connect.
Okay, Sherry, I'll be in touch for this coming Saturday event for sure.
Yeah.
To collect.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Well, here's kind of an open-ended question just to bring to the table. Is it worth us printing out some extra paper copies for us just to distribute amongst neighbors to at least get more of the neighborhood?
Yeah, either that or maybe what we should do, one of the actions we talked about, which I haven't really done anything about yet, is a half-page little form with the online address that we could add. We could certainly have some copies of that made with our own organizational identifiers. And then, but yeah, absolutely. We will be sure to, especially after Saturday this week, we don't have any other tabling that I know of planned. So anything left over could absolutely be distributed among your neighbors and pals. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lorelei, you had a thought?
Yeah, sorry, I can't find the little thing to put your hand up. But actually, I don't do Zoom calls very much anymore. So the survey, are you able to put it on the Next Door Neighbor app as a PDF or something?
Yeah, we can certainly advertise it there with the link to the online survey. So like I said, there's 3 or 4 tasks we are planning to do, which no announcement yet has gone to Nextdoor, but we absolutely will. It will be put on our own Facebook. I'm planning to have it sent out, request to send it out like through EPAP and some of the other organizational newsletters, just request that they make an announcement. And so in the East Portland Resilience Coalition contact list, we'll get it with, the online link to the online forms. Any other ones? Yeah, Sherry?
Well, the other suggestion is, yes, your neighborhood, some of them will want paper copies. Some will want to do online. Also, any other organizations you're in, including your faith community. So I took a few to my church, knowing that people live, in the area, and one has filled it out. So that's also a good place.
Great. Well, thank you. I hope we get lots of responses, and I think it's going to be a really great point just to check in and understand what this pandemic in the last 18 months of our lives has meant for everyone in our community. And of course, Gail, as you need help, rolling that out digitally with a MailChimp email blast or a Google form, just let me know.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we want as broad a distribution as we can. The last time we did this, we got a respectable survey response number, and I think we can at least double or triple the number of response this time with a little effort. Well, I think we'll try to run it at least for a couple months, maybe October, November. We'll just see how the responses are coming in, and when it starts petering off, you know, not getting very many each week. So yeah, and so you can contact information at Centennial, or I'll put my own email in the chat just in case somebody wants to contact me with suggestions, ideas, or places where we should distribute.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Gail. Unless there's anything else you have to add. I think we'll move on to, we have a guest this evening, Micah Bishop with Neighbors for Clean Air, who wanted to have a segment of our meeting to talk about what you're working on. So Micah, welcome.
Hi, I didn't expect
Hello.
you got to so early. I'm so glad. You guys really make the most of your time. Yeah, my name is Micah Bishop, and I work with Neighbors for Clean Air, which is a community group that was established about 10 years ago in the Northwest District. It was a response to parents finding out that bullseye glass was creating abhorrent asthma particles in their area. And so I'm here today with a few proposals for you guys. I would love to work with you in the future. So raise your hand or do a little reaction if you know that Multnomah County is in the top 5 of air pollution counties in the United States.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, I see a few of us knew that. Yeah, it's really high. We have diesel pollutants just off the charts and super high rates of asthma and cancer attached to those particles. A lot of people don't know this, you know, because we have so many trees. We're really perceived as a green city. But I also know that, you know, Centennial being on the other side of the 82nd, you guys see the massive amount of traffic, you see factories, you see industry living right next to you. So Neighbors for Clean Air is currently running a program in which we are buying low-cost sensors that pick up particulate matter 2.5, which is for diesel and wood smoke. Actually, wood smoke is the second highest pollutant, and as we saw last summer, it had super disparaging health impacts. And so we have funding to get air monitors established east of 82nd, which is why I'm here in y'all's meeting today. I would love to partner with some of you. We can put it up at your property, whether you're a renter or a homeowner, or if you know someone who has a stationary RV. We have 2 initiatives. One is to go east of 82nd Avenue, and one is to go into the Northwest District, Forest Park, Linton area around the industrial area there and Cathedral Park. I'm so excited to already see some excitement in the chat about this. We are trying to get as many monitors established over the summer. My role is titled Community Engagement Coordinator. And during the 6 months that I've been with Neighbors for Clean Air, we've managed to establish about 20 monitors across Portland area, and specifically in the areas that we have grants for. So because we were so great on time, I didn't have my links ready. And so if you'll pardon me for just a second, I am going to drop this form to contact. So the people who are either hosting a monitor or associated with the people who are hosting this monitor will get access to the data network that we're currently trying to communicate. We had a full-time student scientist from Reed College working with us over the summer to be able to create a data communication tool for us to have a better sense of like where diesel is coming from, what areas 2.5 is really prominent. And of course, we have an idea of what that could already look like because we witness and see the economic and racial disparities of the Portland area, right? But even the purple air map itself was an indication of that when we saw, you know, the areas with disposable income with an extra $250 sitting around were the ones who had air quality data. And so that's why we're really trying to emphasize that. Could I have screen share capabilities to show you guys what I'm talking about?
Yes, it might just take me a minute though to.
That's all right.
Okay, I think you can. Or, oh, I'm sorry. Does that option pop up now?
Yes.
Wonderful.
So the purple air monitors, we chose this system because it's Wi-Fi enabled and it's public. And so anyone who's hosting a monitor can see the monitors that pop up. I'm sorry, my Wi-Fi is very slow today. Can see the monitors that are popping up across the Portland region. So all of the ones east of 82nd and down into Lentz are the ones that Neighbors for Clean Air has established. And that's why we really want to get some into your area in Centennial, because this is also the data network that fireairnow.gov. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but it's a smoke tracking system. They use this monitor data. And so it's a mutual benefit, you know, for you to know on days with really heavy pollutants, or if there's more construction in your area, or if the wood smoke comes in, then you know if it's safe to step outside. We really underestimate like the impact that diesel has on our day-to-day life, and how clean air is really crucial. So like I said, our contacts in this area will all be invited to our webinars around data communication. We are also forming a cohort of people who are dedicated to just stomping out diesel, making sure that all of these highways in our areas do not continue to have dominance over our communities. And so if you're excited about that, or you know somebody who is excited, oh, awesome, Gail. I'm definitely going to write down your contact and reach out to you after this. Yeah, I have another full like 15-minute one, like here's why diesel is bad. But a lot of times people don't need to know why diesel is bad. It's very clear that there are disparities in our community because of where cars and construction are constantly running through and where they're not. But like I said earlier, like Multnomah County has some of the worst air quality in the United States. The second tool that I'm going to show you guys really quickly, just because I have your attention, is what's in our air.org. So this is a tracking tool Neighbors for Clean Air created in collaboration with Metro. And there's a lot of great information here about, you know, about the same things that I've been gesturing to, you know, why diesel is bad, where it comes from, who is impacted, and the ways that we can, you know, fight against it, to have cleaner, more livable conditions for our families. But also on this website is this mapping tool, and that's what this is really for, the potential diesel impact tool. So this is a little hard for me to explain in the amount of time that we have, but I really encourage you guys to go to this website and just kind of tap around. Basically, it shows the permits that are active in your area, the construction permits, like, you know, as low as somebody's putting a new pool in their backyard to as high as like there is a factory going in next door that's going to be pumping out glass chemicals like every day. and it's for the entire metro area. And yeah, so y'all would be right around here. And if I look up do you guys have a community center? No.
I would say the heart of our community is Park Lane Park, if you're looking for an address. Yeah.
Show you guys what it will look like, because you can measure it in meters, and this is from 2010. Come on, computer. There we go. So then you can click on each of these dots and see the permits that are currently taken out. So it's like here on Stark Street, the potential diesel impact from new family housing going on. That's something that you could know. These ones are low, new accessories, 2 building units that are already there. But there are some like hidden around this map that are in the red, in the dark red. And that corresponds to the level of potential diesel emissions expected at a certain site. We currently have some of the like lowest laws around the amount of diesel. And that's again why we're trying to use these tool mapping tools in collaboration with each other. So that's essentially the end of my presentation, but I would really love to drop the registration link, the contact form.
Yeah.
For anyone who's interested in hosting a monitor with us. Basically, I would come to your house and I would say, hi, where can we put this monitor? All we need is an outdoor plug-in, a place to secure it 6 to 10 feet above the ground, and open airflow underneath it. There are some other things that it's like, let's put it out of the way of where bugs normally are, because a bug can crawl in, or like out of direct sunlight because it has a temperature gauge. But overall, these monitors, for what they cost, they are a really effective way to understand like why you feel the way you do when you step outside and why our lungs are being impacted. We are an environmental justice frontline community and nobody really is talking about that. So I'm going to head and drop the purpleair.com/map and what's in our air.org, and as well as neighborsforcleanair.org. And my email, if you need to reach me or you have any questions, is just Micah@neighborsforcleanair.org. But I really encourage you guys to fill out the form if you're interested, or if you know someone who lives next to a facility, either east of 82nd or in the Northwest District, or even somewhere else in Portland that you're like, I know that there is a pollution problem here and that they deserve to know the data and that we deserve to collect data on that so that we can hold polluters accountable for the damage that they're doing to our communities. Let me know, because that's what I'm here for. Yeah, I'm super grateful to talk to you guys today. And I'm wondering if there's like 1 or 2 questions that anyone has.
And we have such a small group. Anyone who has a question, you can just unmute yourself. I mean, I have one to begin with. How long does the monitoring go on for?
This current project, we are leasing for a year, with the potential to go longer. It depends on our capacity. We're a small group of citizen scientists, and so there are many ways that it could continue to be passed on. So the ones that we are currently leasing with our memorandum of understanding is basically like, you will have it for a year and I will be your contact for maintenance. If there's anything wrong with it, if it goes offline for that year, I can come by and help you fix it.
If my cat viciously attacks it.
Basically, yeah, it's got
Okay.
a nice outer shell. And so we can hope that that doesn't happen. And also that your cat can't jump 6 feet in the air, but you never know.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Micah?
So do Neighbors for Clean Air, in addition to this, have some advocacy and policy initiatives that you're working on? That could be a big question, but I mean, like the diesel advocacy to get rid of diesel. Are you working with the legislature, or where are your advocacy efforts?
Yeah, that's a great question. My work mostly centers around community engagement, but I will say our executive director, Mary Peveto, is very involved with legislation and policy. In the past, we've tried to pass an indirect source rule, which is what limits like the amount of indirect pollution that people can take. It also like mitigates the diesel trucks that are coming in from Washington and California, which have stronger diesel standards than us. Those are the two main things that come to mind right now. That's not my field, but that is something that we engage in. And so I would suggest you go to our website for more information. We're also engaged in lawsuits, both against the Oregon Department of Transportation for not establishing an EIS, an environmental impact statement, on the Rose Quarter Freeway expansion, and also against Owens Brockway, which is another, I believe it's a metals facility. And so we're coming at this from multiple tactical angles. And so if you're interested in policy and interested in advocacy, I really recommend you reach out to me. Like I said, we're trying to build up a diverse coalition of people who are prepared to take the next step in advocating for their community's clean air. Well, we have a lot of tasks coming up in the next calendar year that we really need some assistance on, and we'd love to work with you.
I have one maybe last-ish question. And sorry I missed the beginning of your presentation. But I was wondering if does the organization Neighbors for Clean Air at all consider itself a climate action organization? Is that like
Yes.
part of the mission? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clean air advocacy is the, kind of title we grab ourselves in. We work a lot with anti-fossil fuel initiatives, with youth climate organizations, and with transportation advocacy groups. There are many ways that we know that this intersects. Additionally, NCA also sponsors a lot of like cultural community groups to do environmental justice work with us, because we know that they're disproportionately impacted. Like Apano and Verde and Unite are all very close partners of ours. Great. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop this form again. I really encourage you guys to fill it out if you think you might have a good spot for it. Or you can pass it along to your friends and people that you know. We love working with teachers. We love working with citizen scientists. We love working with bus drivers. There are a lot of different, community members that can really benefit from having this kind of information. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Micah, thank you for joining us and for presenting. I know I've personally already filled out that Google Docs form, so you get to come to my house and install one. I'm excited for it. Moving on, I think we now have Karen, who just asked a question. Karen, I'm gonna hand the floor over to you to give us a little bit of an update about what CNET is doing.
All right. So first of all, does anybody have any questions or anything that you want to hear from me and focus on while I'm here doing this little update? Because I could just chatter about what we're doing, but is there anything like specific you want to know?
I mean, at least from me, I'm just curious to know what the latest developments have been. If there's anything that you anything that you want us to know about, and if there's any way we can support you. I know that there's one email or voicemail or text message from you that I haven't responded to yet, but it's on my list.
Cool. Okay, so my name is Karen Wolfgang. I am the team leader for the Centennial Neighborhood Emergency Team. And what that means is that for the last year and several months now, I've been working with a pretty robust crew of people. Our core team, people that show up for our monthly meetings, is about 8 people, but we have a roster composed of people that have signed up at our Nextdoor page, our Facebook page, and for our Google group, which is how we stay in touch on an ongoing basis. That's about 100 people. So we don't have proper contact information for all of those folks. We have email addresses, obviously, for the people that are on the Google group, but for the Nextdoor and Facebook participants, we just have their Nextdoor Facebook profiles. So you probably, have been talking about the intern, Jason, and Gail and I are going to meet with him on Tuesday. We're going to be talking with him about what projects make sense for him to focus on. And I think that our big task that's ahead of us is to become a lot clearer in our onboarding, because we have 22,000 people in this neighborhood, and we also have 13,000 people in the neighboring Centennial, the Gresham version. And because Gresham doesn't have a net program, in most other places it's called CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. They don't have CERT or net or anything along those lines. And so we have essentially permission to bring them into the fold. And we've been working with their newly reformed neighborhood association to reach out to their folks as well. So we have a lot of people to get in touch with. And I see that the question in the chat: what emergencies do we attend to? What we are tasked with doing as the neighborhood emergency team is essentially helping people reach all hazards preparedness. So we have an operations plan. It's required by the city of Portland, which has the infrastructure to organize neighborhood emergency teams on the neighborhood level. So our operations plan states that if there's a really big emergency, the one that we always think about is the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake, then our team will be in touch in a certain way. We have a communications protocol, and then we're going to show up at Park Lane Park. If that's not available for whatever reason, then our backup location, we have a couple of backup locations, but we will physically show up and set up a little base of operations after we've checked in with our families and our neighbors, our immediate neighbors, and are ready to help. And the idea too is that in that scenario, we will have a beacon operating, our basic earthquake emergency communications node, which is at Park Lane Reformed Church, right on the other side of Park Lane Elementary School from the park. And that's going to kick into gear too. So that's a different city program, but we're working with the beacon to make sure that we're, lining up what we do with what they do. So it's not super likely. It could happen any day, right? We could have Cascadia any day, but we're in the middle of a pandemic still. We're having these heat waves, we've got a lot going on a day-to-day basis. And so the reason for trying to bolster our kind of intake process as a team and really know who we have contact information for and what the people that have signed up want to do as affiliates of this team is because we need to be ready for all of these other emergencies that also could benefit from having an organized community response. So working on the roster and building out our outreach and membership processes, finalize the operations plan, and we're starting to get out there and create specific partnerships with different organizations in the community. So we don't have a a specific partnership with CCA yet, but we're working on that with Rosewood. You know, how do they want us to support them? How do we want to communicate in the event of an emergency? What resources they have? What resources do we have? What does that look like? Centennial School District is another one on that list. And we have a couple of other really high priority community organizations that if anybody's interested, I could talk more about. But just to let you know, we're pursuing that sort of bigger reach within our neighborhood by solidifying these organizational partnerships and also doing this membership push right now. Gail, did I see your hand? Oh.
I didn't have my hand up, but I just wanted to mention it's been useful for me. I'm someone who tries to go to the CNET meetings, and not because I want to be a trained team member who is an official responder like the trained CNET core team, but as an affiliate, someone who's interested and wants to help promote emergency preparedness and resilience response in our neighborhood. It's been interesting for me to learn more about it, but also to say that there are many ways that affiliate people who can support this team who are trained to do specific types of response, including communications. So don't be put off by if you're not a shortwave radio specialist or someone who's had the official training. You can be involved in and do lots of good things.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Thank you, Gail. I think I jumped the gun by failing to mention that the Portland Bureau of Emergency Management, which hosts the NET program, trains our active NET volunteers. So there are people on my roster that happen to come from the Centennial neighborhood and trained with PBEM and have that active NET status, but I've never talked to them because the city can and does deploy nets from across the city directly. So if you're an active net trained through the city of Portland, you can be a deployable resource for the city for things like shelters or heat response, cold weather response, down power lines, flooding, all of those kind of emergencies that might come up. And it doesn't tie directly into being active on the neighborhood level. So as a team, we are making space for people who are trained through the NET program, people who want to be trained but haven't gotten there yet. There's an online program that we can send people through right now, but they still have to do a final field exercise, which is like an in-person demonstration of skills before they become active and deployable through the city. But yeah, we want people who may have no interest also in going through that process to still connect with the team so that they have a place to go to, build their skills, to create relationships across the neighborhood, to lend a hand, whether or not it's directly as a trained net. Yeah, thanks, Gail, for saying that. Okay.
When are your
You
meetings?
all, okay, go ahead, Layla.
When are your meetings? I think I was going to go one time, and I think I have a conflict. I can't remember your regular monthly meetings.
Mm-hmm. So we have our meetings either on a Monday night or a Tuesday night. I have a meeting calendar that I could give you. But it's not like the first Monday of the month or whatever. We have it calendared out through, I think, May, maybe.
Mm.
But it's just like a little bit different every month just because of circumstances.
I have trauma intervention CE meetings the first Tuesday of every month. I think that's was my conflict I had, so.
Okay.
so.
Well, if you are interested in seeing what the current meeting schedule is, the team email address is centennialnet@gmail.com. I'll put that in the chat. And we also have, like I said, a Facebook page and a Nextdoor page. And we even have a team page on portlandprepares.org. So I'll put all of that stuff in the chat. And if you have more questions, I'm available lots of different ways.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Karen. I don't know if I don't want to jump in front of anybody if there's any other questions.
And I would love to say I just got home on the train from San Francisco. Very good timing, Stan. Thanks for reaching out. But I gotta go like get all the way home, unpack and stuff. So
Do it.
so yeah, thank you for having me, and I will put a couple more contact things in and I'll drop off.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen. Okay. We have another agenda item that did not get put on the agenda last week, but I believe it revolves around the city-owned Public Parks and Rec owned property at 150th and Division Street. And I believe there's some community members here who might want to talk about it to kind of start the conversation.
Hi, I'm
Hey.
Lori. I live with Heidi. I don't live with Heidi, but Heidi and I live on the boundaries of the park space on 150th and Division. We have been dealing with homelessness in that space for 3 years. We have had 3 fires in that space, all caused by homeless campers. And we are very frustrated with the police and even the fire department's lack of responsibility and assistance in either dealing with the people that are causing this fire and blaming the other departments for the person that we should contact. We also get 0 response from Portland Parks and Recreation. TriMet, of course, takes up the north end of that park space. And there is a community garden that is run by somebody who is renting space from the park, but even the maintenance person doesn't know who he is. I have a gate in front of my house. I'm the only house on my street. The other houses face outward in different directions. But the street off of Taggart, which you can see to the left, we've had a chop shop there this summer. We have multiple issues with drug use in the park. We had, I just kicked somebody off my fence line today who was injecting himself with whatever substance. And I live at 2905, which you can see down at the bottom. And so right behind my neighbors Heidi and the neighbor next door and the apartment complex that is to the west has the bulk of the mess. On the morning of September 12th, we had a multi-tent fire caused by, we don't know what. We've heard people say that it was arson. We have people say that somebody said that he was out barbecuing the day before. Who knows if his coals tipped over and caught on fire. Myself and another person have reported to the fire bureau to ask them to come out and speak to the people when we could see that they were barbecuing. And they make it sound like it's a big problem. Anyhow, so our issue is that we're stuck with a big burn mess out there now. It's 8 acres of property that's in the Centennial District, and we get very little support from anybody. The PP&R folks say we're too far away from the city core for them to actually do anything. So we just get so much pushback. Heidi, do you have anything more to add?
Just, I would like to add that, you know, being, I'm home alone a lot. So, you know, being woken up at 3 o'clock on a Sunday morning by a tent fire that's literally right behind my fence, and no one will do anything about it. Several neighbors called the police. They never showed up. Of course, the fire department did show up at a delay, and this is the 3rd time this has happened. Again, the concentration is literally behind my house and Lori's house. So we're like, I feel like we are the police. You know, we're having to interject a lot. You know, we've communicated with some of the homeless folks that are amenable, that are, you know, able to communicate with us, that are friendly. We have had 2 truckloads of garbage picked up by a personal friend of mine that did it as volunteer work. The city of Portland has done nothing, and it's owned by the city of Portland. We are just beyond frustrated. And I think this last fire was just the last straw. And we're finding out from other neighbors, other issues that are promoting this. Nothing is, you know, this case is not good for anybody. No one wants to live in a field, but, you know, if they were on a sidewalk, you know, it's not going to be affecting my home or Lori's home or the apartments next door or the, you know, the family next door that has 5 or 6 children. You know, all of us out at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning. That is not my idea of a good time, folks. Something has to be done. There needs to be a lock put on the gate. Something needs to happen where it's managed, where someone that is not community members like Lori and I are not the people that are yelling at people, that are, you know, trying to have conversations with people, that are trying to make a communication with folks that are having a really hard time. That's my piece. And you know, it's really frustrating. It's really, again, if you had a field behind your home that was owned by the city, it's highly flammable. They have propane tanks there. I mean, you have no idea the mess that's out there right now. It is awful. It smells horrible. None of us hang out in our backyards. Haven't been out in my yard in, you know, 2.5 years. I don't want to be out there. And I feel like I'm being held hostage, honestly. Like, that's how I feel. And the city, Portland Parks, whoever, will do nothing. And they just point fingers at everybody else. It's extremely frustrating. I'm done.
I didn't get that.
Well, first of all, I know, Jessica, you have a question, but I just want to acknowledge too, I'm sorry for your frustration. I know, and I've been, just to bring the group up to speed, I've been privy to emails for at least the last 6 months on this. And I feel like I've experienced, you know, only just a fraction of what you've experienced in terms of lack of response from the city of Portland. And so I just want, my hope tonight is that we can share, we can figure out strategies, and also kind of continue to figure out how to engage the city, because at the end of the day, they are, they are in charge. They're the ones who have, they have some ability to change things.
Right.
Jessica, I see you've patiently had your hand raised for a while.
I think Sherry actually had hers before me.
Oh, I'm not on the right screen. Okay.
No worries.
Sherry first, please.
Okay, I am appalled and I am so sorry. I put in there fire marshal because we have a field behind our church owned by a private party that we always call the fire marshal, and he was there in a minute. So I don't know if that would be helpful. I know I have friends that have faced this over on 92nd area with a bunch of things happening there too. I think you're being very kind or understanding of the people that need to be in a place and they don't have a place. But I also think you have a right to be protected. And I did not know that was at the other end of that TriMet mess. I live on 154th, so I go down to Division. I haven't seen any of this that you're talking about, and it's appalling, especially if you're living alone. I really feel bad for you for that. I guess I'm just thinking maybe we need to bombard the city commissioners that are in charge of all of these things. And I've got that information. It's easy to get on the internet. We can all do it. And then my neighbor down the street who's done a lot of work to get a house that it needs to be condemned and torn down, where you have to keep reporting and reporting and reporting. And finally something did happen. So maybe we as a group of Centennial Support can report for you if you just let us know how to report, what you need us to report about, because I'm happy to do that. It's all online. It's very easy. I guess that's my say. I'll just let Jessica speak now.
Yeah,
I just wanted to quickly answer Sherry's questions or concerns. There was an article that just came out by Oregonian Reporter that lists. There's a website called One Point of Contact,
Right.
where we are always told from everybody that's where we are to report. Centennial is in 21st place out of over 50 neighborhoods in Portland for reporting a homeless campsite. If you zoom in on our little area, it's a bright red hot spot. So that kind of tells us that they don't care. So and anytime we get through to a police officer or somebody else, they're always saying, oh, you need to be reporting through One Point of Contact. And
we all do.
Well, we can help you more.
Okay.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Because the more you ding at them, the more it,
And again-
And we found out that they don't really care so much about numbers, but what they care about is danger. We're, close to a school. It's a fire hazard. We all have huge, tall trees that border our lot. And if those trees catch on fire, they're going to drop embers right onto our roofs.
We're done.
So all of those kind of things are what's important to them. We aren't Overlook Park, but Overlook Park doesn't have houses right there with that campsite that burned a couple
Right.
days ago.
Yep.
There's probably at least 4 of us that maybe 6, counting the apartments, that would be affected if that little corner went out of control all the way to the fence line. And it has. In 2018, it burned right up to our fence line.
I'd love to give you the fire marshal's name that's at our church. I don't know
Okay.
if that help or not, but he sure came out to see us right away. So I don't know how we're gonna finesse that. If you want to give me contact information, email or something, I'd like to have that for you guys.
Sure, that would be great.
If you want, I can connect the two of you in an email.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because
Yeah, include me too, Dan, please. Thank you.
Of course, yeah.
that's good.
And go ahead. I'm sorry I stepped on
Jessica,
somebody's
you've been
toes there.
patiently waiting. Thank you.
no worries. I'm honestly so happy to hear you all talking about this. This is my first meeting today because I've just been desperately seeking other neighbors to try to mobilize around these same issues. So I didn't even know about that location because I'm over at 162nd in Division. And I actually have started a monthly trash cleanup group. So we meet every second Saturday at AutoZone on 164th and Division. So if anyone wants to come, hopefully you guys can help me get the word out. But I'm just sort of desperate. Like I started the group because I went for a walk with my husband and his 10-year-old son. And, I'm watching the 10-year-old like step over needles and glass, and it's not safe for our kids in this neighborhood anymore. And I just really am pretty desperate because I've been reporting like constantly in that PDX reporter, the one site of contact, but like I will report the same thing for weeks on end and like not always see it picked up very quickly. And then, I'd do my monthly trash pickup group and we pick up a ton of trash. Like last pickup, we got 23 volunteers, 41 bags of trash. We filled up 2 dumpsters and 17 needles. The pickup before that, we got 30 needles. And like the movie theater over by me, like the 164th and Division, there's just needles all over the parking medians there. Like, do not let your kids walk in there. So I just have also been seeking, one, if we are supposed to use that one site of contact, when it doesn't work, like how can we mobilize more people to try to actually make something happen?
We've tried using different categories on that one point of contact. We've said interferes with sidewalks. We've, what are some of the other ones, Heidi, that we did?
Illegal parking, the campsite reporting. I'm trying to think of something else.
The abandoned auto. I mean,
Abandoned
some of
auto.
those have gotten people out within 3 days of us reporting that. But that was something that helped, was that if we use different categories.
Yep.
Because, they go, oh yeah, here's another report from those people that are close to the park.
Yeah.
And because it's so hard to figure out like all these different places to contact, like, is this something that like our rep for our district can help with? Like, as far as like politicians, like I know you guys mentioned the city commissioners, like it's just a lot of work for neighbors to constantly be like sleuthing online to figure out like what type of material is this? Is it a homeless camp? Is it Metro's property? Is it, it's really challenging.
To
Right.
kind of address that, I don't know how much you know about our city's government, but I think this is my own personal opinion speaking. We have 4 commissioners and none of them are associated with any district, and that in essence is a major problem. We're one of the last few major American cities to have a commission form of government. I would say that we have an advocate in Joanne Hardesty because she is from East Portland, and I think she's the only commissioner from East Portland. But there is no, for example, if you wanted to talk to somebody that was in charge of a district, there isn't one. I think we have support from the East Portland Community Office and whatnot. In order to address problems, oftentimes it relies on us reaching out to the property owner to ask them to kind of up their game, to become more responsible, to monitor people who are on their site. For example, the strip mall at the southwest corner of 162nd and Division has been an issue for years, and we've reached out to that property owner to let them know this is a problem and we need you to address it. I don't know if reaching out to a Multnomah County Commissioner would help that much because they're not really addressing those day-to-day services. I personally have written to, if they're, for example, with the 150th and Division Street property, in the last couple of weeks, I've written a few emails to that commissioner's staff to say, this is a Parks and Rec issue. You're in charge of, you're the commissioner of that bureau. Can you address this? And Sherry, did you have, I think you had something to add?
Well, what I was going to say is, yes, the city commissioners do not function very well, and you have to keep at them and talk with staff so you can find out who's assigned to what. It's not consistent. It makes no sense. But I would do that. I think Lori Stegman, our East County County Commissioner, might be very interested in hearing about the concerns no, they don't have a lot of clout about some things, but it is the key place where we have the homeless services is in Multnomah County, not in the city. And that's, so I reach out directly to that particular part. And I just put an announcement in here too, and I'm gonna just, leave it because I'm going to have to go, about a forum on violence that Lori's putting together coming up on the 7th.
Thank you, Sherry. And I neglected to announce that earlier. I apologize, but thank you. That's in the chat.
Yeah.
If you want to attend that, you can email and request a link for that. And that's 10/7, October 7th.
Okay. And thank you. I have to give somebody a ride.
So I'm on the board of the Midway Business Association. And I'm working on trying to access a couple of accounts right now because we've got a turnover in which all our information gets lost. But I think what I'll do is within that newsletter, ask local businesses how they have been or are being affected by the trash, by the tents, and get some feedback, and then maybe that'll help generate where we can do a letter somewhere in the city hall. And my other suggestion is the news people seem to really like going out and getting, their visuals and getting the story. And so I would suggest contacting all of them and seeing who will jump on it, because I live in the neighborhood and I had no idea there was a problem at that park, because all you see is all the construction.
Right.
And I drive by there all the time.
Yeah.
So that's what I will look into doing.
Thank you. And we actually have started doing that as of, like I said, this last fire was the last straw. We've contacted Kyle Aboshi. We've contacted a reporter from K2. So we're just trying to wait to hear what's going to happen, because I agree with you. I think that, we can get some attention to this, especially because it's so flammable. Again, if they were on a sidewalk, it'd be a different story, but if they're in a field that's owned by the city. So it's
hidden.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not getting the attention that you need.
Right, exactly.
But 162nd and 164th and Division is not, and that is a business district. So it's affecting the businesses over there, which just gives us another venue of getting something done. Because I know the city do the car thing really easily, because I'm always reporting the trashy ones and they're always responding. But I think that's really an easy thing for them to do, because it doesn't involve people.
Exactly. Yep.
Anyways.
And I think the easiest, the simplest is we want the gate locked. It's now, I manage, or I control the gate in front of my house. And that's not really something that somebody in between the two apartment complexes can do, but right away, when that gate was open before, I was out putting zip ties on it and all sorts of things to keep people from coming in and out of that park. But if they can get that gate shut and locked, and also come clean up the burn pile. I mean, it's to have 5 tents that were all pushed together and to have them all burn. And this guy was rumored to be a drug dealer. He had piles and piles of metal and stolen objects and everything out there. And now it just sits out there in a big pile. And I welcome any of you to just drive up Tigard and peek your head out, or come on my street on 150th Avenue and come look through my fence and you can see.
Did you receive any response, Lori or Heidi, from the emails that went out last week?
I got an email from somebody named Mark Ross. who is the public information officer. I like
Mhm.
his slogan, healthy parks, healthy Portland. He basically, again, pushed it off to one point of contact. If you aren't on the email chain, I'll forward it to you, Dan.
I
But
don't think he might have just responded to directly to you, but not to the group. I'm not sure.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I'll definitely forward it to you. It was a long email response, but it really didn't go anywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, he just pointed fingers, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. And then otherwise, I did get a response for me reporting a car that is a known problem car on Taggart, to this green Jeep Cherokee, and they said it's on their list, but we still have not seen any movement on that. And those things go hand in hand. But
And was that the abandoned automobile
yes.
route? Okay,
Yeah,
because I report them
yeah.
regularly on 153rd. After people come around the corner, they drop there. So that's actually working effectively.
Yeah.
Um,
And to whoever had mentioned earlier, I believe it's because they don't want to deal with the people issue. I feel like between Lori and myself, we've had more contact with the homeless folks than anyone else has. We've gone out there and talked to them. We have conversations with them like, hey, can you keep this clean? Yada, yada. There was kind of a guy that was kind of in charge for a while, but we found out he got an apartment, which we're happy for him. But now he's not here to kind of be like the go-between to help us. And so now we're
Mhm.
left with folks that are not capable of being that person, of kind of like the protector of the area.
Mhm.
And I think that's why that fire happened. Honestly, that's my my gut feeling on it. But again, it's like that we're having to like police our own area is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Right, and it's something you're also not trained to do.
Right.
I assume. I don't know what you
Yeah.
do in your day
No,
job, but
I'm a
it's not
banker. I'm a banker. No,
okay. So yeah, and we want the people who are actually trained to work with
exactly.
people in that manner to do
Right.
that. So
Right. Exactly.
I just want to think about how, kind of how we move this forward. I know that we've been kind of casually communicating with city staff. My own personal strategy normally is to talk through the commissioner's office, because there's at least, you're not just talking with a staff member that is just there to to fulfill their everyday duties, and they don't have they don't have the ability to actually make a bigger change. I definitely want to bring this conversation back to the board to say, how can we support these neighbors? I mean, as a board, we generally, when there's a community issue like this, we can reach out officially. I don't know if how much clout that buys with the city, but something needs to change. This has been an ongoing issue I only thought it was since the beginning of COVID, but it sounds like it's been long before that.
Unbeknownst to us, we didn't know about that 2018 fire, that it was caused by a homeless person, until Lori found that out recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that we were outside and the neighborhood filled up with white smoke, and it was the first time where I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. I mean, I had my cat was packed up, food, everything. I was like, I'm ready to go buy house.
Yep.
Literally, that's how it felt. So
If it helps with the board, like I can give you guys data on my monthly trash cleanup. Like I know my little group has only done this 3 times for like a couple of hours each time, and we've already got like 100 needles just from like a 3-block radius around that auto zone. Like,
and we're always willing to support a good initiative, and it sounds like you already have a core group there of people, and I think part of you're willing to go out and do the work, but I think there's also a bigger conversation of maybe we engage, for example, the ownership of Regal Cinema or whoever the local contact is. I'm not sure whether it's a franchise or what we're dealing with, But we need, I think we need more responsibility. I think what I'm really trying to say is our way to change things is actually talk to property owners. And I don't think it lies with the city.
And I'd like to do that with you guys, because like you guys mentioned the one at 162nd and Division, like I went in and talked to the people who worked at Aaron's the other day.
Yeah,
And I even offered to them, I was like, if you will unlock your dumpster, I will put some of this in there. And then they just
right.
like didn't bother to unlock their dumpster. They forgot about me. So I
Yeah.
was like so frustrated. And
Mhm.
so like if I can like be, part of this group, so it's of
Yeah.
some additional capacity, not just I live around the corner and I'm pissed.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm glad we had Lorelei here to kind of talk, because I feel that the MBA, the Midway Business Alliance, definitely has connections, and especially with the businesses that want to do good and make an impact in our community. So we are getting closer to 7 o'clock, which is kind of our official cutoff. I guess to address both of these issues, I definitely want to go back to our board and see how we can support and move forward. I think one is continued contact, continued urging on behalf of our city leaders to deliver a response. And then also, what can we do as an organization? I will volunteer that there are funds to impact our community that our board, our organization has access to. And so at the very least, that might be just supporting some community cleanups, helping to advertise these cleanups, and then also, support, for, is it getting a dumpster? Is it getting, protective equipment to help us do this? And also too, I think I have some media contacts from local reporters that have reached out about other issues lately. So I'm happy to connect on that.
That would be great.
I would just say at this way, I kind of want to sit down and think
Yep.
about logical next steps and what's most effective and for everyone.
I agree. Thank you.
And thank you for coming tonight and talking about it and kind of bringing it up. And I think this has been kind of it's been a private hell, and you don't, if Robert wouldn't have brought it up to me, I don't think I would have noticed it, even
Yeah.
living down on Tibbetts on 151st. It's hidden. It's very
Right.
well hidden.
It is, agreed. And I think that's also well known amongst the homeless community. And I think that's why the guys that were out there have guarded it so well,
Mhm.
because they just want it to be their own little community. But the new guy whose tent went up in flames on Sunday, he from the day one, I mean, he's only been there for like 2.5 months, you could just see he was definitely a troublemaker. I could hear him yelling at women, and he was fighting with the guy that we would always talk to, Jake. So it's like you just knew he was bad news overall. And
Mhm.
then when it ended up in a fire, it was like, yep,
Yeah.
yep, gut. Yes, thank you, gut. You're
Yes. Yeah.
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 correct. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming and discussing all of this. I'm going to be in touch later this week with some follow-ups about what we think our next best steps are to kind of address these, and see how we can. I mean, we want change in our neighborhood. We want everyone to feel safe, and we want to make sure that we have a livable community for everyone. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
going to go
you.
ahead and adjourn the meeting and stop recording. Thank you for
Thank you so
coming.
much.
Appreciate it.